There is something fundamentally broken about the bread you eat. For thousands of years, bread was the foundation of human civilization. It powered armies, sustained generations, carried families through winters that would kill most of us today. The phrase "staff of life" wasn't poetry, it was fact. But today, that same word, bread, describes something that spikes your blood sugar, inflames your gut, and leaves you hungry 90 minutes after eating it. In 1324, outside York, England, the average working peasant consumed 2 to 3 pounds of bread every single day. It made up 70% of their calories. These were men hauling stone, ploughing frozen fields, building cathedrals that still stand 7 centuries later, and they thrived on it. Fast forward to now. 1 in 3 adults is pre-diabetic. Celiac disease rates have exploded by 400% since the 1950s. Millions more suffer from what doctors call non-celiac gluten sensitivity, bloating, brain fog, fatigue, joint pain with no clear diagnosis. Your grandfather ate bread every day of his life without a problem. So what happened? The answer is not that you are weaker than he was. The answer is that modern bread is not bread. It is an industrial product engineered for shelf life and profit margins, not for your body. And the medieval peasant you were taught to pity. He understood something about wheat that the food industry has spent decades trying to bury. Before we go further, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Have you ever felt sick after eating bread? Bloating? Fatigue? That foggy feeling in your head? Tell me what you experience, because what you're about to learn will change how you see every loaf on every shelf. Today, we are going to break down exactly what changed between the bread that built civilizations and the bread that is making you sick. We will look at the wheat itself, the milling process, the fermentation that modern bakeries skipped entirely, and the science that proves medieval methods were not primitive, they were precise. By the end, you will understand why your body reacts the way it does, and you will know exactly what to do about it. Pick up any loaf from your supermarket and read the ingredients. You will find enriched wheat flour, which is code for wheat stripped of everything valuable, then injected with synthetic vitamins to meet legal requirements. You will find high fructose corn syrup, soybean oil, mono and diglycerides, calcium propionate, and often azodicarbonamide, a chemical also used in yoga mats and shoe rubber. This is not bread. This is a chemistry experiment shaped like bread. Medieval bread contained 3 ingredients: flour, water, salt. Sometimes a sourdough starter passed down through generations. That was it. But the differences go far deeper than the ingredient list. Modern wheat is genetically unrecognizable from what your ancestors ate. In 1960, a scientist named Norman Borlaug developed semi-dwarf wheat. Shorter stalks, higher yields, resistant to disease. He won the Nobel Prize. They called it the Green Revolution. What nobody talked about was the cost. This new wheat was bred for one purpose: maximum yield per acre. Not nutrition, not digestibility. Yield. Ancient einkorn wheat had 14 chromosomes. Emmer wheat had 28. Modern bread wheat has 42. That genetic complexity introduced gluten proteins. Your great-grandfather's digestive system never encountered. Research from the University of Kansas found that modern wheat triggers significantly stronger immune responses than heritage varieties. Your body sees it as an invader and responds with inflammation. Then there is the milling. Medieval flour was stone ground, a slow process that kept the wheat kernel intact. Bran, germ, endosperm, all ground together. That meant fiber, healthy fats, B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, all still present. Modern roller milling strips all of that away. It removes the bran and germ because they contain oils that shorten shelf life. What remains is pure white endosperm, essentially pure starch. Then it gets bleached with chlorine gas to make it whiter. This is what they call enriched flour. Enriched because they add back a fraction of what they destroyed. To understand why medieval bread worked, you have to look at the fields where the wheat grew. Medieval farmers cultivated what we now call landrace varieties, wheat strains adapted over centuries to local soil, local climate, local conditions. Einkorn, the oldest cultivated wheat dating back 10,000 years. Emmer, used by the Egyptians who built the pyramids. Spelt, favoured across medieval Germany and Switzerland. These wheats were not uniform. A single field showed natural variation. Some stalks taller, some shorter, some ripening earlier. That diversity was not inefficiency. It was resilience. If disease hit, some plants survived. If drought came, some adapted. But the real transformation happened after harvest. Medieval mills were powered by water or wind, turning massive stones that ground grain slowly. This process generated almost no heat, preserving the delicate oils in the wheat germ. Those oils contain vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, and phytosterols that support heart health. Modern roller mills operate at high speed and high temperature. They destroy those oils almost instantly. The result is flour so fine your body absorbs it like sugar, because biochemically, that is exactly what it becomes. The final secret was fermentation. Medieval bakers had no commercial yeast. They used wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria captured from the air, what we now call sourdough culture. This culture was kept alive for generations, passed from mother to daughter, master to apprentice. When mixed with flour and water, these bacteria went to work. They consumed the sugars, producing lactic acid and acetic acid. This acidic environment activated enzymes that broke down phytic acid, the compound that binds to minerals and blocks absorption. It degraded lectins and enzyme inhibitors that can damage your gut lining. By the time that bread entered the oven, it was biochemically transformed. Pre-digested, your body could absorb its nutrients without fighting through anti-nutrients first. If this is valuable to you, hit that like button. It helps this information reach people who need it. Let me be specific about the chemistry, because this is where the modern bread industry hopes you stop paying attention. Gluten is not a single thing. It is a family of proteins, glutenins and gliadins. In ancient wheat, the gluten structure is simple and weak. In modern wheat, it is complex and strong. That strength is why modern bread rises so high and stays soft for weeks. It is also why your gut struggles to process it. Research published in the Journal of Proteome Research found that modern wheat contains unique gliadin proteins not present in ancient varieties. One fragment, called 33-MER, is highly resistant to digestive enzymes. It passes through your stomach and small intestine largely intact, triggering immune responses in susceptible people. Then there is the chemical load. Modern wheat is treated with herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides throughout its growing cycle. But the most disturbing practice is pre-harvest desiccation. A week or two before harvest, farmers spray wheat fields with glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. This kills the plant, dries it out, and makes harvest faster. The problem is that glyphosate residue ends up in the grain. Studies have found it in over 70% of non-organic wheat products tested. The World Health Organization classifies glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen. But it also disrupts your gut microbiome, killing the beneficial bacteria that help you digest food and regulate your immune system. Medieval wheat never touched a single chemical, grown in soil enriched by manure and crop rotation, harvested by hand, stored in dry barns, clean. The nutritional gap is staggering. Heritage wheat varieties contain 25 to 30% more protein than modern wheat, higher levels of selenium for thyroid function, more lutein and zeaxanthin for eye health, and significantly more omega-3 fatty acids. When you strip away the bran and germ, you lose 80% of these nutrients. What remains is nutritionally bankrupt starch that your body treats as an inflammatory agent. In 2014, Italian researchers ran a remarkable experiment. They gathered people with irritable bowel syndrome who reported severe symptoms after eating modern bread. They switched them to bread made from ancient einkorn wheat, stone-milled, long fermented using traditional methods. The results? 80% reported significant improvement. Less bloating, less pain, better digestion. The wheat was not the problem. The processing was. A separate study from the University of Florence found that einkorn bread produced lower blood glucose and insulin responses compared to modern bread, even when consumed in identical amounts. The slow fermentation had fundamentally changed how the body metabolized it. Today, a quiet revolution is underway. Small-scale farmers and artisan bakers across Europe and North America are reviving heritage wheat. They are stone milling flour. They are fermenting dough for 24 hours or longer. And their customers, many of whom believed they could never eat bread again, are discovering they can. Not because gluten was the problem, because modern wheat and modern processing created a problem that did not exist a century ago. The shift happened after World War II. Industrialization swept through agriculture. The goal was clear: feed a booming population as cheaply as possible. Hybrid wheat varieties that tripled yields became the standard. Chemical fertilizers replaced manure and crop rotation. Roller mills processed grain faster and cheaper than stone mills ever could. Commercial yeast replaced slow sourdough fermentation, cutting production time from 24 hours to under 3. It worked. Bread became cheaper and more abundant than at any point in human history. But the cost was your health. Since 1960, type 2 diabetes rates have increased 700%. Obesity has tripled. Autoimmune diseases, celiac, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis have exploded. The industrial food system blames you. They say you are sedentary. You eat too much. You lack discipline. The timeline tells a different story. These epidemics began their exponential rise precisely when industrial wheat and industrial bread became the norm. If you are learning something here, hit subscribe. We are going deeper on forgotten knowledge the modern world abandoned. You have 3 paths forward. First, find bakers who use heritage wheat. Look for einkorn, emmer or spelt. Confirm it is stone ground and naturally fermented. These bakers exist at farmers' markets, specialty bakeries, and online. They are rare, but they are growing. Second, make your own sourdough. Yes, it takes time. You need to maintain a starter culture. You mix dough the night before and let it ferment 12 to 24 hours. But the result is bread that nourishes instead of harms. Once you develop the routine, it becomes as automatic as any weekly meal preparation. Third, reduce bread consumption and replace it with properly prepared whole grains. Medieval peasants ate bread because wheat was cheap and calorie-dense. You have options they never did. Oats, barley, quinoa, especially when soaked or fermented, provide sustenance without the inflammatory load of modern bread. The point is not to live like a medieval peasant. The point is to recognize that their bread was real food, and yours is not. The medieval peasant, with his dark, dense loaf of sourdough, was not ignorant. He was working with a system perfected over thousands of years. A system that prioritized nutrition, digestibility, and sustainability. We traded that system for convenience. We bred wheat that yields more but nourishes less. We milled it in ways that destroy its value. We rushed fermentation to save time. We added chemicals to extend shelf life. And now we wonder why bread, the staff of life for millennia, has become a source of disease. The answer was never complicated. We stopped making bread. We started manufacturing a product that looks like bread but behaves in your body like something else entirely. Medieval bread was food. What sits on your supermarket shelf is not. The secret was never lost. It was abandoned. And every time you choose real bread or learn to make it yourself, you reclaim knowledge that kept people strong for generations. Which aspect of medieval bread making do you think is most important to bring back? The ancient wheat varieties, the stone milling, or the long fermentation? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want more forgotten wisdom that still works today.